Kia ora friends. I want to talk to you about teamwork and checklists. In Acts chapter 6 and verse 2, it says, "So the 12 gathered all the disciples together and said, it would not be right for us to neglect the ministry of the word of God in order to wait on tables." Now, it wasn't that serving people was beneath the apostles, because Jesus had taught them how to be servants. However, if they were focused on waiting on tables, they would neglect something of greater importance, which was ministering of the word of God. They needed to share the responsibility with others and to work together in the church, as it were, as a team. Therefore, the apostles, they built a team, and we know the story of how they chose people, set them aside to become, as we call them today, deacons. Now, just going back in history, in 1935, a Boeing Model 299 aeroplane crashed in Ohio, the USA, resulting in the death of two crew members. Now, this was a huge blow to the Boeing, because they were vying for a contract with the US Airforce. Now, the plane that they had was superior to the other planes that were being looked at by the Air Force. And the trouble was, this plane actually crashed while it was being demonstrated. The investigation showed that the cause of the crash was actually human error. And a newspaper picked up the story and it investigated it and discovered that this plane, this is what the newspaper said, was too complex for a human being, for a man to fly. Now, that could have been the end of Boeing and the contract and the production of their planes, which was actually called the Flying Fortress. This is 1935, remember. But someone came up with a solution how to fly this plane, which was a plane that they said could not be flown by a man. The simple answer was to create a checklist. In fact, they created 4 checklists, and as long as the pilot followed the checklist, there was no problems. Now, the question, are you a checklist person? I mean, I have to-do lists, I have checklists, and I could tell you stories about how I've made mistakes by not following my checklist. But as we are counting down to the Unbreakable Hope outreach, I believe each church needs a checklist just to check, are you ready to receive and are you prepared for this outreach? And so I've just come up with a list. It's not a list in any particular order, it's just a list that I've come up with, which is a checklist that I see is really important. And I'm just going to go through these quickly. Are you praying for new people to come as a result of Unbreakable Hope? This is a matter of prayer. When we come to those 7th and 8th Sabbath, will you have your signboards outside and the displaying that this is a church to come and watch Unbreakable Hope? Do your greeters at the door have a name tag and smile? Does your church bulletin have an outline of the program so people know what's going to happen next? Are there signs for your toilets? Are your toilets clean? Are the facilities clean? Are the lawns mown? You know, all these things. Do you have something to give the guests, something free just to offer them? When you welcome guests, call them guests and don't call them visitors, because calling them a visitor means that they are just visiting. They don't actually belong here, but a guest is like having a family member come in. Is there a church lunch? Do you have small groups? Will you start on time? Will you remember people's names who came in? Will you embarrass them? Please don't do that. Will your deacons and deaconesses, are they prepared to lead people into the sanctuary where they can find a seat to be seated during the program for the first time? So my question is, what can you add for your checklist for your church when it comes to preparation for the Unbreakable Hope? You know, I want all of our churches in North New Zealand Conference to be ready to receive new people who are coming from the Unbreakable Hope program. But just like in Acts chapter 6, verses 1 to 7, that story, the best way forward is actually teamwork. This is not just the job of the pastor or the head elder, but it's actually a teamwork for everybody to be involved. Everyone can be friendly and give a smile to new people who come along. And so what are you doing to help new people feel at home when they come as a result of watching Unbreakable Hope? May God bless you and your church as you are prepared and ready to receive new people as they come to worship with you. May God bless you. Thank you.